are going to preheat our oven to 400 degrees. So hit bake, and then I'm going to keep pressing up until I get to 400, and I hit start. It's telling me that it's preheating, and I'm going to wait for it to beep, because once it beeps, that means it is preheated. Remember that your oven at home may very well be different. So I practiced mise en place with my ingredients. I have my half cup of flour, my 1/4 cup of milk, my tablespoon of oil, my egg, which I'm going to show you how to get 1 tablespoon out of that egg, my tablespoon of sugar, my 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and my 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Since they are going to be going in at the same time in the dry ingredients mixture, I decided to put them into the same custard cup. And my 2 tablespoons of chocolate chips, as I will be making chocolate chip muffins for this demo. So in order to get 1 tablespoon out of an egg, you first need to crack the egg into a custard cup, or in my case, a ramekin. Okay, so we're going to hit it right there, and then I take my thumbs in the middle there, and I crack it open into my custard cup. And of course, I discard of my eggshells. Now I'm going to grab a fork, and I am going to beat the egg so that the yolk and the egg white are mixed together. That's very important, because when you are measuring a tablespoon of an egg, you need to make sure you are getting all of that yummy goodness of the egg, which is both the yolk and the white. Let's go ahead and beat that. And then once that is beat and mixed, and it looks like a pastel yellow color, then you are going to take a tablespoon, and then you are going to measure out a tablespoon of that egg mixture and pour it into second custard cup. That's how you measure out a tablespoon of the egg. So first I'm going to grab my larger mixing bowl, and this is going to be my dry bowl. You see, part of the muffin method is having 2 different bowls, one for dry ingredients and another for liquid ingredients. And then I'll explain the rest as we go. So I have my larger bowl here, and now I am going to put in my 1/2 cup of flour along with my baking powder and salt. And so these are all the dry ingredients. Now you may be wondering, Miss Beck, isn't sugar a dry ingredient? And well, yes, it absolutely is. However, it will go into the liquid bowl, and I'll explain that in just a bit. So go ahead, mix them up with a whisk. And then after you've mixed it up with your whisk, go ahead, set that aside. Now I am going to grab my other bowl for the liquid ingredients. And so I'm going to put my egg in there. I'm going to put my tablespoon of egg, that was, my 1/4 cup of milk in there, along with the sugar and the oil. And so in order to answer that question from before, why does sugar go into the wet bowl? Well, sugar, once it touches water, it dissolves. It dissolves in water, and then it becomes a liquid. And for that reason, sugar will always go into the liquid bowl, even though it is a dry ingredient, especially when you're measuring it, okay? And now let's take that same whisk from before that you used to mix up the dry ingredients, and now we're gonna do the same with the liquid ingredients. So go ahead, mix that up. So now I grab my larger mixing bowl that has the dry ingredients that have already been whisked, and I'm going to create a well in the center of it, okay? So that means I'm just gonna create just like a little hole there, because when I add the liquid ingredients, I want it to still be kind of separated so that I can slowly mix it in from the sides. So you create a well. And then I'm going to pour in my liquid or my wet bowl into the center. I'm going to grab my large mixing spoon here. And I'm going to mix it up. Now you don't want to mix it up too much. You still want it to be a little chunky, as you can see, because that is part of the muffin method. And now we can add in the chocolate chips or whatever it is that you would like to add into your muffins. It could be blueberries, it could be bananas, perhaps some pumpkin, although if you're gonna add pumpkin, that should be in your wet bowl first. Whatever you'd like to add in, and then mix it up. So for this, I'm gonna be using a baking square pan where it's already pre-shaped into little squares as opposed to round muffin cups, because that's what I have at home. And so there's a few different things that you can do in order to grease or line this type of pan, if you have it. So you can either spray it with any brand of cooking spray, as long as you do it over the sink, or you can use baking cups or muffin liners. And so let me show you how to do it if you have a square pan like mine. So this is round, and what I do is I put it in there, and then I use my fingers to press out the corners so that it creates a square shape. So now I take my muffin batter and I use that spoon to spoon it into the baking cups. And I go a little bit at a time so that I'm not overflowing them. And you want to fill it up only 2/3 or 3/4 of the way. Otherwise, it's going to overflow because muffins are going to expand in the oven thanks to that leavening agent of baking powder. So now that they are all filled up, I am going to place them in the oven that's already preheated at 400 degrees. I am going to bake them for 12 minutes or until they are a little golden brown on top. And with a toothpick or fork, the center of them comes out clean, which I'm going to show you in the next few steps. Now, if some of the batter spilled over, as you can see, you are going to want to take a paper towel and just gently wipe off that excess batter. It's very important you do it prior to baking because otherwise it's going to burn on the edge of your muffin tin, and then it's going to be very difficult to clean that out afterwards. So now that they are out of the oven, I am going to take a fork, I'm going to poke it into the center. Comes out clean. Look at that, they're done. So after a few minutes, go ahead and transfer them onto a cooling rack as I did, and then wait a few more minutes, and then your muffins will be cooled down and you can enjoy them.